All right, so as we begin this, just like every other chapter, for those of you who have been in here for multiple years, okay, we always like to look at our introduction here and what might be the first thing that comes to mind when you see this? Spiders. Okay, so spiders, yes. What else, maybe? Okay, so insects, that's right. Come on, we can do better. You're doing fine, but we can do a little better than that yet. We already said that.
Scorpions.
Okay, yep, scorpions. And then maybe just one more. And I think, so think of the characteristics that you've been talking about. That's right, crustaceans. All right. I think we've got better things to do with our time than this, everybody. All right. Okay. So all of those answers that you gave are correct. And one of the things to think about is there any reason that might stand out in your mind that when we talk about all the different phylums, if we include this one, how many are we up to now? And if you don't know, start naming them. It is 4. Poriferans, cnidarians, mollusks. Now we've got arthropods, okay? So those are our 4 phylums. So, and the reason that we want to ask that, we could say, because of how we're asking this question, why might this one be the largest phylum of all of them? Now that's a tricky question. It's one that I don't think you could say, oh, that's the answer. It just doesn't, I'm not saying it doesn't work that way. I just don't think that we would know that because you have not been taught that yet. But does anyone have a guess on why this would be the largest phylum? Yes.
It's going to have more species in it.
You're okay, it does, but which one? You're exactly right. Was that a guess?
No, an educated guess.
That was an educated guess because there are so many insects on this planet. So how can we visualize that? Well, in an older version of your book, okay, I don't know, what type of diagram would you call this? Where it's not like a bubble graph, I don't know, maybe there's a specific name to it. Funnel graph, I think maybe that makes sense because these all look like little tiny funnels, okay? So with that, we were just discussing on why this might be the largest phylum. And it's not because of your pals, the spiders. Is it just hearing that maybe gives you shivers? Okay. So if some of us don't like spiders, is there any other animal that you look at and say, I don't want anything to do with that? Okay. Now, are we just saying that, or is that your own experience, or whichever? Okay, so now the reason I say that, this is just my opinion. Now, whether it's correct or not, I sometimes think that some of the fears that we have, whether, okay, not being able to breathe, that's certainly a fear. So maybe it's a fear of water and drowning. You said spiders, you said snakes. Some people don't like heights, okay? Is it maybe something that you had a bad experience with when you grew up that I cannot stand that snake, or looking at snakes, or those spiders, or high up in the air? Is that maybe a possibility?
No, I just don't trust anything with more than 2 legs.
Okay.
There you go.
I guess you can't really argue with that logic. Okay, but back to our funnel graph, okay? That's why when we look at this, inside the biggest funnel, who do we see? the arthropods. Okay, so that's what we're looking at here. So this, I think this is the second edition, yes, of our animal diversity. And I don't know if you, yeah, now that you can see that, these all look like a bunch of funnels. And then as we're looking at this, this is a mirror image. Move your hand the right way. Okay, here we see arthropods. And in second place, who do we have, perhaps? Mollusks. The mollusks that we just talked about. Okay, so, and this is what we're talking about. Here you have your arthropods and then your mollusks. Okay, so then the reason that the phylum arthropods is so large is not because of the phylum itself. You correctly had said it might be because of the insects, and that's a class of arthropods. Okay, so since this phylum is so large, there must be some reason that they might be successful. And maybe one of the biggest reasons, okay, is with the insects, you find them all over the planet. Why would they be so diversely found on this planet? Because these animals can do something, and yes, they're animals, different than a lot of others can't. Why can they spread out so far? Yeah, there's a majority of them that can fly. So you can go from, very easy to go from point A to point B if you can fly. We're not saying it's the most efficient way of doing that. I don't know if that's something you think, gosh, I wish I could fly. It would be rather labor intensive because we're so much heavier than other animals. But regardless, so why are these animals so successful? And that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit today and moving into next week. That's why it says arthropod success. And I don't know how Monday will shape out because what is Monday besides the November 11th? It's Veterans Day, okay? So we do have a program at that time, and I don't know how long that will progress in the morning sessions. It starts at 9:30, I believe. So I don't really picture it going much longer than 10:15, 10:20 maybe. I really don't know. So we just want to get a little bit of a brief introduction to this. Now, so when we look at these terms here, okay, these two kind of work together, okay? Because in the mollusks, there is a certain type of structure that, besides the shell, that would help protect inner organs. Exactly. The mantle, whether it's inside squid, octopods, the cephalopods, or if it was inside the clams that you looked at. So something like the cuticle, for instance, would be something comparable to the mantle. Okay? Then, okay, how can we experience chitin? Now, some of you, and I know some of you are guilty of this, I know, okay? Especially when it comes to June bugs or even cicadas, okay? They're on the ground and you go over there and, okay, I got you now, and step, all of a sudden, what do we hear? Crunch. Crunch. Okay? And it's just not a coincidence that you are hearing that crunch, okay? That's because of this structure right here, okay? So this is the major component that's found inside that shell because it's a protein matrix, okay? That's not the first time that we've seen something like that. Was it the nacreous layer? Or was it the prismatic layer or the peristracum? Those terms sound familiar? Yeah. Okay, So whether it's in the shell of that clam or within this animal, that protein matrix is something that's going to supply a type of protection. So for humans and mammals, do they have chitin?
Yeah.
No.
Fingernails.
Well, that's true, but this here, no. So this must be something that provides protection. Anytime we hear or see protection, probably the first thing we're going to think of is this right here. But when you put that prefix on this word, why is this making reference to that? What does this mean right here? Yeah, it's on the outside. So when you look at the chordates or the vertebrates, where is that skeleton? Yeah, it's on the inside. It's not on the outside. So especially with humans, with an endoskeleton, then not an exoskeleton, it's not composed of chitin. There certainly is a protein that makes up bone tissue, okay? And not that you would know this, it also starts with a C, but it's not chitin. Say that again? Collagen, okay? Collagen is something that you find in connective tissue, also bone tissue, okay? So one of the things that we see, what keeps us from drying out, okay? Well, water's on the inside of us, but so we don't lose water. Well, we can. It's because we choose to take in substances like this. How do you replenish?
Electrolytes.
Well, you want to take electrolytes, that's true. But caffeine, okay, that's one of the things that caffeine is actually toxic to the human body. You might think, why would you drink something that's toxic? Well, your kidneys filter it out for you, okay? If it's in excess, yes, you'd ruin them. But what we're getting at here is we do not lose water unless it's something that we intake. So we don't dry out because of the skin that we have. But in arthropods, it's not skin that they have. It's this structure here, the chitin, which is part of the exoskeleton that will keep them from drying out. Water is such a precious, precious commodity because when we think of tarantulas, sorry.
I'm not that scared. No, he's more scared of them. What?
No, I looked at you when I said that.
We should get a pet trainer. I'm not that.
Okay.
I'm kind of scared of him, but he's more scared of him.
And then you said, who are their cousins? Scorpions. Where do you find those two animals? So would it make sense that holding precious water would be certainly an advantage?
Yes.
Certainly. And that's why having this versatile exoskeleton that's composed of this will keep that precious water inside of them. All right. So next week we will continue with some of this success because there are 6 keys to them. This is the first one. We'll continue with this, okay? And then Monday we'll continue with this. Tuesday, Wednesday.
We won't be here Wednesday, be nice.
Is it because of this? I knew I wrote that down for a reason. So you know for sure that you're not going to be in here?
Depends on how, she said it'd take us 3 hours.
For what?
Except for, so you
I'm
three,
not going to be here on Monday.
The seniors will be gone.
so you 3 will be here on Wednesday. Well, you seniors will be here on Wednesday, but just not
Yeah,
in
just not in
this
class.
room. Okay, sorry, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, 5.
They won't be.
Okay, so some of you seniors won't be in here on Monday. It's because I don't think you can see this on that, but it's your National Career Readiness. I don't know what C is for this. You would think it would be E for exam or something like that. So that's where we're heading in the future. This has to be going through your mind that my gosh, I like talking about these animals so much more than an asconoid. Because what's an asconoid? It's a sponge.
I like sponges.
I would think that that's because you watch SpongeBob. Okay, now, so I don't know if you watch SpongeBob. I'm just making a presumption.
No, I have Hulu. I did watch SpongeBob.
Okay. So I think you would agree that these animals are way more complex than sponges and probably way more interesting to talk about. So again, that's where we're heading. We'll continue with this next week. We'll catch up to you next time.